Good evening, nice to be here again. There is nothing like a good cup of tea. First things first, a few thank yous. I have some new subscribers. In no particular order: John Wayne Everett, Emmett Miniatures, Waterloo 745, Lost Legion Miniatures. Thank you very much for subscribing. If you subscribed and I haven't mentioned you, it's either I haven't noticed you in my inbox, or you're one of these subscribers that are incognito, of which there seems to be quite a few. That's fine, I don't mind, that's fine. Nice to have you along, whichever way you subscribe, it's nice. I'm going to give a couple of quick shout outs before I carry on, and it's nothing to do with miniatures or miniature painting, the shout outs. First one is Diamonds and Rust Pro, and it's all one word, Diamonds and Rust Pro. And it's the folk singer Joan Baez who's putting out little videos and singing with the guitar from her kitchen, trying to entertain us all in this sort of unpleasant time. So that's Diamonds and Rust Pro, go and have a look. And the other one is the Ginger Fisherman. Have a look at his videos if you want to forget everything for half an hour and just unwind and relax. Go and look at the Ginger Fisherman. The sheer enthusiasm of the guy for what he does is fantastic. Very enjoyable videos. So our 95th rifles by Italeri are prepped, primed and ready to go. Everything that was in that box, the last sort of half of the box, is prepped, primed and ready to go. I looked on Plastic Soldier Review just to see what they sort of thought, and they scored these figures 46 out of 50, which is a good score. I didn't agree with their assessment entirely. They gave sculpting 10 out of 10, which I totally agree with, wonderful sculpts, but they gave molding 10 out of 10, which I didn't agree with. I would have given it probably about 8, 7 to 8, somewhere around there, because there's 25 miniatures in the box left to finish that box, which is enough for a battalion, another bit to squeeze another battalion out of that box, and just a few skirmishers or whatever. So 25 figures. It took me a whole day to get them ready for priming, because I was having to cut bits of excess plastic away, or in some places I was having to add definition where, for argument's sake, an arm comes up against an ammunition pouch. There was no distinction between the two, one just run into the other. You couldn't see where the arm stopped and the pouch started. Little things like that. And if you had like, yeah, excuse me a moment, this guy here, so supposed to be reloading a rifle, you wouldn't reload it like that, you'd have the butt on the ground. But you can see here there's a gap between the rifle and the arm. There was quite a lot of plastic in that, which I spent time cutting away. And all these things take time. You know, all these things take time, and it took me a whole day to clean 25 miniatures. And they also said on PSR Review they thought they were wonderful. They could hardly find any mold lines anywhere. And I'm sat here thinking, what figures were you looking at? Because I had mould lines all over the place, which I had to scrape off. Again, it all takes time. So I wouldn't have given it 10 out of 10 for mould. But it's everybody's opinion is different, I guess. What one person's opinion is not necessarily another. And it is just that, it is their opinion, what they think. But it's still a very good website, which I use quite a bit, and it's well worth looking at, and to get an idea of what's in a box of figures, and it's a very useful website. So anyway, it took me all day to prep 25 miniatures, and what I did was I took one of those, you can see that properly, I think that's a bit better, one of those, and one of those. It's a bit bright in here, so I'll turn this the light off. That's a bit better. One of those, and one of those. Cut out the rifles. Put in a piece of wire, and now we have two standard bearers. I normally use for these things, I normally use long map pins. Take the ball off the end, and they're just the right length and diameter, and they're nice and sturdy. But I'm out of map pins, and there's not really any chance of going anywhere and getting any at the moment, so I use wire from a paper clip, and that will have to do. So that's standard bearers. Our officer figure that comes with the pack. In fact, I think you get 3 officer figures with the pack, if my memory serves me right. It was the most uninspiring figure ever. He stood up with one hand, the right hand in his pocket. He's just stood up, one arm down by his side. No, it's across here. One arm across here, the other arm with his hand in his pocket. I don't know what they thought he was supposed to be doing when they made him, molded him. So I cut the arm off that was in his pocket. Got an arm from a cavalry figure and fitted that, pinned it and super glued it, and at least he has some kind of movement now. He looks like he's doing something rather than just stood there with his hand in his pocket. Actually, the other officer figure that I had, I put it in the British command pack. I might be able to use it on the command stand. Just stood around. But anyway, that's the officer figure. And I thought today, what about a bugler? Should have a bugler, really. So I went to the Plastic Mountain and had a look round, and the choice of 2 really. Eshe, British Infantry, bugler, or an airfix. Bugler. So in the end I plumped for the airfix one because he had the backpack on. Same as, you know, the rest of the troop have the backpacks on. So I thought he fitted in better than the Eshe that didn't have any backpack or anything. All I had to do really was just trim down the shako and put a little plume in the top of it, because he had sort of like the regular line infantry shako on, so I trimmed that down with a knife and put the little plume in the top. So I think he'll fit in okay. He'll do okay. Apparently, from what I'm led to believe, 95th Rifles didn't have a drummer. They didn't have drummers. Bugler maybe, drummers not. So anyway, that's all 25. Or 26 with the bugler. That's all 26. Primed, prepped, ready to go. 2 coats of paint-on primer. What I find with, you know what I find with this stuff before I go quickly? Certainly as opposed to spray primer, which I'm never confident with. But with that stuff, you've got to be careful with air bubbles when you paint it on, particularly the first coat. I tend to find if you leave it 2 or 3 minutes on your palette or on your plate to thicken, it goes on a bit better. But you've still got to be careful and brush out the little air bubbles. That's why I do it under the magnifier, so I can see the air bubbles and brush them out. But it goes on a lot better the second coat. Once you're putting primer on top of primer, there's hardly any trouble at all with air bubbles. Much better. It's when you're putting it straight onto the initial plastic, for some reason you get all these irritating little air bubbles, which obviously you wouldn't get with spray primer, but I'm not confident with spray primer. I just make a pig's ear of it. I don't know why I'm going wrong. And I don't like breathing around stuff that's in the air as well. That's another thing I don't like. So I end up brushing the stuff on, and it's gone on alright. So that's it. So I'm now going to leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're all avoiding the virus that's going around and all the rest of it. This is about my, what's today? Thursday. I think this is my 29th day in self-isolation, and within that time I've been out for about 30 minutes. That's it. But I am going to have to go somewhere before long, I know it, because I have to get some electric on the key meter. So I'm going to have to run the gauntlet of going somewhere. It's a funny thing, you know, it's almost like, it makes you almost like paranoid, like almost a bit like Howard Hughes was in the end. Because you don't want to go near anybody, period. Because my thinking is on this, if you're going to catch this, you're probably going to catch it off somebody else rather than an object or a surface, although you can do, for sure, keep clean, wash your hands, but you're more likely to catch it off somebody else, so you don't want to go near anybody, you know, and it makes you a bit almost like paranoid. So I really don't want to go out, but you can't sit here in the dark and you have freezer to run and all the rest of it. So there you go. So we'll see anyhow. But that's where we're at with the 95th Rifles. So tomorrow, hopefully at some stage tomorrow, I'll get some colour on them. I'll certainly get the flesh tone done. Facial definition on these figures is lovely, by the way. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So that's it, I'm rambling. I'll leave you all to enjoy the rest of your evening. Be careful, stay safe. Thank you to everybody subscribing. I'm 11 away from 3 figures, so we're on our way. Yeah, thank you to everybody. See you on the next one.